Have you ever sat back and thought, like, why do we feel the most alive? Why do we feel the most free whenever it is time for us to create or whenever we are creating? What if that's not an accident? And what if that is actually the creator's energy flowing through us to express himself? Maybe you've thought about it this way, maybe you haven't, but I just wanted to share my thoughts on why I think it is important to create and why I think it is super important to express yourself through whatever creative outlets that you may have. Creativity is literally built into us. Like, literally built into us. It is the essence of our being. I believe that we were put on this earth to create. And so that is a really bold statement for me, someone like me on this channel with 60 subscribers. Like, who am I? But no, I genuinely, honestly do believe that we have been put on this earth to create, and that is our soul mission here. So I wanted to dive into it a little bit more. I just wanted to start off with a saying that, you know, if you're religious and you're spiritual, you probably heard this before, but the saying is, we are created in the image and the likeness of God. And so for the sake of this video, I'm going to replace the word God with creator. We are made in the image and the likeness of the creator, right? And I know we've all heard that before, but it's like, what does that truly mean? What does that actually mean? So then I did some digging and I was researching, like, you know, how other people interpret that, or just the basic interpretation of that phrase. And with a very quick Google search, I found a pretty simple answer. To be created in the image and the likeness of God, aka the creator. That means that humans possess unique qualities that reflect God's nature, such as intellect, will, creativity, and the capacity to have a relationship with him and others. And so that's what I got from that quick Google search. And like, I knew that obviously, but sometimes it's just hard to put things like that into words. The fact that creativity was a main attribute that we get from having or being made in the image of God, it was super important to me because it's literally the reason why I decided to make this video. So with that specific definition, one of those qualities is creativity. When you think of creativity, what do you think? I think of the most magical energy, the most effortless energy, and just pure energy that allows you to bring art into this world. So yes, with one of those qualities being creativity, I then moved to divine creativity. And divine creativity is like the same type of creativity that created you, the same type of creativity that created the earth that we live in, that created your friends and your family, the food that you eat, the air that you breathe. And to me, that's divine. And I know that, you know, if you were to look it up, divine creativity and regular creativity, they have different definitions, but to me, it's honestly the same thing. If humans have access to that specific quality from God, being made in the image of the creator, it must be super important, you know? So it's like, if humans have access to the intellect, to, you know, access to a relationship with him, and then access to his creativity in general has to be a pretty important attribute that we can attain from our creator. So in order to figure out why that energy was so important and why we had to tap into that as much as possible, I first wanted to start with inspiration. What makes us inspired? What gets us inspired? What sparks that creativity? Where does that spark come from? And so I wanted to dive into basic inspiration because there's different types of inspirations, obviously. As I was doing research, I'm like, okay, so there's inspiration, but then there's divine inspiration. Inspiration in itself is a sudden creative impulse. It's an idea, it's motivation. You can be inspired by internal and external things that can lead you to minor or major decisions. It's a peak of creative activity that is leading you to learn or act. And it's very simple. You have an impulse to create. You have an impulse to learn. You have an impulse to do something. So that's inspiration. But then we dig into divine inspiration. Divine inspiration is more specific, and it's message from a spiritual entity, a deity, or some type of source to guide and enable a person to communicate a divine message. I can see how inspiration in itself can be different from divine inspiration, but I don't understand why we separate the two. It's, to me, I'm a spiritual person, so I'm always going to think of it this way, but it's more so like all inspiration is divine inspiration. If you are connected to source, then I feel like all inspiration is divine inspiration. So I'm like, why separate the two, and why not just bring those two together and think of it as one, and realize, you know, any type of inspiration that you get, it is a sign or a guide from your creator in the universe that, you know, this is something that you're meant to do. This is something that I need you to do in order to create, in order to bring a message forth that I need to be expressed, I being the creator. And so I just wanted to put that all together and just say that inspiration in itself, whether that's divine or not, is a creative spark that moves you to express yourself. So going back to the beginning of the video, when I was like, I believe that I am created in the image of the creator. As someone who believes that, that means that whenever I am inspired, I am tapping into my divine energy. The divine energy that's inside of me, because I'm created in his image, it's the divine energy that is inside of me that is trying to express itself. So in my mind, whenever I get a click, whenever I get inspired, whenever I get this, whenever I get that, it's really a push from the creator, like, you need to do this because I need you to create out of the inspiration that I just gave you. So inspiration is literally just that divine energy trying to express itself through your specific experience. You have a specific experience, or you have a specific story to tell that can help push the collective forward. So with understanding that, it kind of leads you to think about the idea of collective consciousness, because when you speak about certain experiences that you have in your life and how, you know, you're using those experiences to create and to move a collective forward, you kind of have to think of collective consciousness, because it's like, what are we moving the collective forward to? What energy are we trying to move the collective into? I love the topic of collective consciousness just because it's like, in a world so big that we live in, it's easy to think that you are the only one experiencing things, or you're the only one that feels certain things, or that's going through certain things. But as a collective, I truly believe that as we raise, others are raising, and as we get lower, other things are, you know, lowering to balance things out. But we're all here for a purpose, and when it comes to creativity, there is a mission in order to bring the energy of the creator in. So that energy is love, is positivity, is unity, is humility, you know, all of those high vibrational energies that bring us closer to being one and to being cohesive with one another, and to bring us into solidarity with one another. And so when you think of collective consciousness, you think of how it refers to shared beliefs, values, norms, and moral attitudes that unify a society or group and create a sense of solidarity. But in a more spiritual sense, as someone who believes, again, that we are created in the likeness of the creator, I want to shift the term of collective consciousness from less of an egocentric to a spirit-centric state of being and a state of thought, which prioritizes fostering unity, love, and a sense of being part of a larger whole or a spiritual body, rather than an isolated individual. In broader terms, I want you to imagine collective consciousness as a one love, one mind type of vibe. Not in pockets, but as a whole. Like, everyone that is alive right now today is a part of the collective consciousness, a one love, one mind type vibe. So again, keeping our creator in mind with, you know, having the attributes of kindness, love, joy, humility, service, acts of service, all of those things. Our collective consciousness is only furthering that energy and making it a mission to express that energy as much as possible. Through small everyday gestures, just super creative ideas that take time and have a huge impact. And so I wanted to move on to the idea of, since I'm speaking of collective consciousness, it's like, why Although collective consciousness is a unified thing, why is it important to be yourself, especially whenever you are creating? So understanding how you bring forth different perspectives, different talents, and different experiences that you might have, different experiences that you bring to the people around you, the energy around you, your environments that you're in. All of these things combined literally make you, you. And they allow you to create things in a way that no one else can, just because those instances are literally specific to you. And that's why it's important to be yourself. So an easy way to think about merging uniqueness and the collective consciousness together is, when I think about it, I think about an orchestra or a symphony. So in terms of being unique, you can think of yourself as a flute player or a violin player. And then so when it comes to collective consciousness, the collective consciousness is the entire orchestra, right? And you're the flute player or the violin player, or you're the flute player or the violin player within that orchestra. But when everyone plays together, it creates beautiful music all around. You know, you're not just hearing the flute, you're not just hearing the violin. You're hearing the combination of all of the instruments together, which is creating beautiful music. So being unique in yourself and being yourself and doing the things that you need to do in your day-to-day life in order to be the best version of yourself, in order to, express yourself. If everyone is doing that as a collective, we are raising the vibration higher and honestly becoming better people and raising the frequency of this earth higher, all of those things. I'm a really big energy person. So if you like to hear about like energy and like spirituality, definitely subscribe to my channel, because I'm always interested in how energy and spirituality interacts with each other to make sure that we are operating at our highest selves as much as possible. But anyway, I feel like that is the perfect analogy to if you are a little iffy about like, why I should be unique, why should I be an individual, if we're collectively trying to, raise the vibration of society or as a collective. And it's like, you doing the work within yourself, you doing what you have to do, is in turn raising the vibe of everybody else without you even realizing it, because that's the energy that you are putting out. So that was a good analogy, y'all. Like, I think that was good. So everyone's unique experiences and talents are coming together collectively to bring forth unity, love, inclusion, humility, and all of those things within the society and within the world. Through each of our ideas and each of our creative efforts and just creativity in general, we are all pushing the collective consciousness forward through unity and oneness. So when you think about the creator, who is full of love, full of creativity, full of oneness, full of unity, all of those things, and that energy being harvested within you, it makes you think how that creative energy that we harvest is so desperately trying to express itself and free itself through you, your experiences, and the things that you've been through, and the story that you specifically have to tell. As a creative collective, we are put here, in my opinion, we were put here to further that expression, to help that energy express itself. And that kind of answers our question. Like, that's why it's important to create. That's why you feel so aligned and so free-spirited whenever you are tapping into your creative energy, whenever you are drawing, whenever you are playing a sport, whenever you are singing, whenever you're playing an instrument, whenever you are building something, literally whatever it is that you create, whatever it is that you foster out of your own energy. That's why you feel so free and so alive, is because that is literally divine energy trying to escape out of your vessel. The energy that you're using, the energy that you're tapping into whenever you create, is pure love and pure creative energy. And that is only divine energy. That is from the creator, that's from the being that has literally created you, that made your hair, that made your skin, that made everything that's around you. That's the same energy that you're using to tap into in order to bring forth your ideas, in order to express yourself, in order to feel emotions, whatever it is. And I think it's really important to keep that in mind, because sometimes I feel like we can get down and feel like we're not doing enough whenever we're creating things, or we don't feel aligned and we're not creating at all. And it's like, as long as you keep in mind that whatever you feel the need to create, whatever you're feeling pushed to create, as long as you keep that in mind, that that's divine energy trying to express itself through you in order to help others, in order to push the collective forward. I just think it's way easier to get yourself up to do whatever it is that you need to do. Because I've had instances where felt like I've been called to do something so many times, and whether I did it or didn't do it, it was something that I felt the need to do. And it's like, that's literally the creator pushing you to do it, because who knows who you'll touch through your own experiences, you know? I feel like a lot of the times you'll notice that if you don't put out a creation from what you feel that you've been called to do, the idea will go to somebody else, okay? It will definitely go to somebody else, and you'll be like, oh, I could have did that. I could have did that 10 times better. Well, the energy came to you first because your specific experience, you know, was going to do what it needed to do for everybody else. But if you didn't do it, then the creation still has to come. Like, it still needs to be put out into the universe, out into the world, so we can still move the collective forward, you know? Like, just because you decide not to indulge in whatever doesn't mean that it's going to get done. Like, this again is divine energy, and energy that we must freely express and freely tap into, because we were created in his image and his likeness, y'all. Like, it's a whole thing, okay? A lot of the time, I don't think people understand how impactful their efforts can be towards people. Creative efforts specifically, because it's like, you never know who's going to find your work in a couple of years and be so inspired that you completely changed their life and how they're doing something. They got a creative spark from something that you did, and you changed their life forever. And that could either be for one person or it can be for a million people. Like, you never know how you expressing yourself and expressing your creativity can change the next person. I was talking to a friend the other day, and basically we were talking sort of about the same thing, around the same topic, and he mentioned that Vincent van Gogh wasn't famous until after he passed away. And like, we know who Van Gogh is. Like, that's like one of, like, he's up there with Picasso. Like, we know who Van Gogh is. And he suffered with mental illness most of his life. He was known as the tortured artist just because of how miserable he was, but he still continued to create and, you know, express himself through his paintings and through his artwork. And again, he was not famous until after he passed away. So it's just like, you never know how impactful your work or that energy that you are using to create, you never know how impactful that can be ever. Even, like, it might not even happen in your lifetime, but as long as you are tapping into that divine energy, expressing yourself, creating, you are still moving the collective forward to a more unified and loving consciousness. So next time you feel that spark to create, please don't ignore it. It's something that must go through you. It has to. It's your idea for a reason. It came to you for a reason. Like, you are that important. You are that special to harvest that idea. Again, that is divine creative energy trying to express itself through you, which is important. And it's gonna do it either way. Whether you choose to take on the responsibility or not, it's going to happen, and it's going to go to somebody, the next person. And if they don't do it, it's going to go to the next person. So I just say, take it as a privilege to be able to be a vessel for the creativity that not only is inspiring you, but the creativity that has created everything around us. It's sacred. So go write, go paint, go build something, go dance, whatever it is, just make sure you are creating something. It is a must. We have to continue to create in order to raise the frequency. As long as we are creating every day and doing what inspires us every day and staying connected to that sacred energy, I do believe that everything might have a chance of being okay. You guys never know. But that's my video. I just wanted to bring that forward. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you want more videos like this, please let me know. I just be thinking and talking. I have a new vlog coming soon, so subscribe to my channel, like the video, and everything else. All right, I hope you guys have a great day. Bye, guys.